Hello, podcast fam. I am thrilled to share some exciting news. My book, Sow, Grow, Lead, is officially live on Amazon. This book is more than just my story of starting a nonprofit and building a peanut butter factory in Malawi. Though trust me, the ups and downs of that journey are worth the read. It's also packed with practical strategies to help nonprofit leaders like you tackle challenges with clarity, courage, and a whole lot of heart. If you've ever wondered how to turn your vision into reality, navigate the inevitable hurdles, and build something meaningful, whether in your organization or in your own life, this book is for you. I'd be so grateful for your support in spreading the word. Grab your copy of Sow, Grow, Lead in the show notes and on Amazon today. Let's keep sowing seeds of impact together. Welcome to the Lead with Heart podcast, which is dedicated to nonprofit leaders who are passionate about making a difference. I'm your host, Haley Cooper, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on a journey of growth, inspiration, and transformation. At Lead with Heart, we believe that leading with heart means embracing empathy, compassion, and authenticity in every aspect of our work. It's about putting people first, fostering genuine connections, and creating a positive impact that goes beyond numbers and metrics. In the nonprofit world, it can often feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. The challenges are immense and the road can be lonely. But here, you're not alone. This podcast is a community where we support each other, share our stories, and learn together. Each episode will dive into personal and professional development topics tailored specifically for nonprofit leaders. From innovative fundraising strategies and effective team management to self-care practices and leadership insights, we're here to provide you with practical strategies that you can apply to your life and work. My goal is to empower you, elevate your leadership, and engage your heart in all that you do. I want to help you navigate the unique challenges of the nonprofit sector with confidence and resilience, so you can continue to create meaningful change in the world. So whether you're driving to a meeting, taking a break, or winding down for the day, tune in and join us on this journey. Together, we'll discover what it truly means to lead with heart. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lead with Heart podcast. This is your host, Haley Cooper, and I am very excited for our guest today, John Del Bello, who is a visionary entrepreneur with over 35 years of community involvement and is dedicated to revolutionizing philanthropy. He is the founder and CEO of BGiving.one, and we are going to be talking about all things philanthropy today. So welcome to the podcast, John.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your having me on, Haley.
I always like starting with this question, like what's your background and what led you to starting this platform?
Sure. So I came out of college and ended up, my sister had been doing some volunteer work at a major institutional nonprofit in New York City. And it was basically the foundation arm of the Diocese of New York for Catholic Church. So it was 88 inner city schools in the poorest neighborhoods. And it was a scholarship program with lots of things going on, lots of arms. And what was striking to me was that the first time I joined was just volunteering and actually doing events and activities and stuff with the kids. It was maybe about a year I was doing stuff. And I'd recently been hired by a top company in the world and found out that like some of their executives were actually either fundraising or on the board or advisors to this foundation. And I found out that it's very broad it was a Catholic foundation, but the thing is their fundraisers had every denomination, every factor of spirituality represented at these events. And they'd hold them at the Waldorf Astoria twice a year, May and December. And they'd raise between $6 and $12 million a year. You know, it's insane. So I went to my company's president, and this is way before email. So I sent a message to the office of the president of my company. I said, we would love to, if you could sponsor a table so all of us, the new generation that are in the company, could attend and support this organization, because I knew they were involved. And he calls me up to his office and he's, I like that you did this and you're now bringing younger generations to bear on what this is about and making it about bringing people to an event that typically it's not the younger generations, right? Which is comes full circle to now. And so I was involved with them for about 15 years on and off between fundraisers and activities and helping them. And then I was with another organization at the same time on their junior board, which was Tony Duke's private foundation, also helping inner city kids in Harlem. And then he had a camp in East Hampton. And I was involved with them for about 5 years. And then I moved here in 2009 and was in some different ministries at my parish and doing other work in other charitable organizations. And yeah, it was interesting because I was at a very low point in my life. It was 2016, just got out of a divorce, ended up with full custody, lost my job because the state wouldn't let me keep that job with full custody, and ended up burning through my savings from that whole period of that and losing the job and going through unemployment. And I literally had no money in my bank. And I was doing prayers 9 days in a row of like, how can I be of service to my kids, my community in the world? How can I get out of this rut? And on the 10th night, I'm in a dream and I'm told exactly what to do. And it was basically, there's a social dilemma, social platforms, and basically Facebook had just reached 2 billion users. It was around 2016. And it said there needs to be a platform that's about social impact, philanthropy, and allowing anybody to participate and making it easy and straightforward and transparent. And basically, and then at some point it is about holding corporations responsible to do more than 1%, because that's really another problem. But then it was also about how anybody can make a difference in the world. And that platform should be about that. Just like the social platforms that became Instagram and LinkedIn has grown to be more social. And I see TikTok obviously exploding. The craziest part about it is that this dream was happening and then it said, you need to wake up and write it down. I've never had a dream like this in my life ever. And then the next thing I know, I wake up and it's download. And now I'm writing for 10 minutes exactly what they were telling me in the dream. Now I'm writing it. It was eerie, like awe-inspiring and divine in nature to the most highest extent. But yeah, and then the next thing I know, I was like, I got to get up at 6 a.m. for the kids to get to school. So I went back to bed and I woke up the next day and I started looking at this two sides of this big art sketch pad that my daughter had left on the kitchen counter. And I was using different color markers every time that thought, because I didn't know what was happening and writing down. And then I put it together and I was like, oh my God, this is like crazy. But yes, I could see this actually being powerful, like a social platform for social impact, right? It's like philanthropy. And it was about community, basically, bringing people together in community. So I don't laugh. I did nothing about it because a week later, I get called and get hired in the interview for this other job. I end up doing that. So it comes to 2019 and in this social impact group, and it's every Saturday for about 3 hours. It's a networking and discussing things. It's really deep, pretty philosophical and metaphysical type of experience. And so I've been doing it a couple of times and I was like, maybe I should test this group to see if this thing was given to me, if I should be pursuing it. People are coming up to me and they're like, you need to do this because the universe doesn't do that for everybody. And I was like, okay, got it. So the craziest part, Haley, is that I start doing the research and literally the data needed was just made public by the IRS. FinTech needed to do micro donations had been made available. The technology had been there now on FinTech. And then on top of that, it was like the social paradigm, right? These were changed, like shift was huge. And like all of a sudden Instagram had blown up and TikTok wasn't around that much in 2019. It blew up post-pandemic, but from the pandemic and post. But yeah, so it's pretty powerful. And then the next thing I know, we went and formed a nonprofit first. Because we wanted the nonprofit to be the actual arm to bring this to the world. But sadly, because of COVID, for 12 months straight, we tried to raise funding and everybody was like, sorry, we're just going to stick with our withholding grants and fund the nonprofits already under our umbrellas. So we really couldn't get funded. And then we just decided to focus on building the actual technology. So in 2021, we pivoted. And by the way, both names were given to me. Infinite Giving, Change Unlimited. Change Unlimited was a play on words that being the pocket change can lead to real change unlimited. And Infinite Giving was infinitely giving technology and basically a capability to this platform to exist in the world. And then they said I should do the philanthropy market first and then take it to the actual social B for good side as well. So people can actually invest in social good companies and get a return that might even then fund their philanthropic endeavors. It's pretty interesting. And then, yeah, so then we started building it. And ever since then, it's just been this like wave of momentum and it's incredible. We've had 75 plus people over the last 3 years, pro bono on this between advisors, mentors, board members, team members. Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. We've had 40 students at 6 different universities They chose our program of an internship over paid internships. So it definitely resonated. And we ended up having to call it BGiving instead of Infinite Giving. We kept Infinite Giving as the incorporated name because there's another Infinite Giving that's a registered investment advisory firm in Atlanta that actually supports the assets of small nonprofits. The patent attorney said, look, just create a different branding. So we did.
Imagine a fundraising partner that not only helps you raise more money, but also supports you in retaining your donors. A partner that helps you raise funds both online and on location so you can grow your impact faster. That's DonorBox, a comprehensive suite of tools, services, and resources that give fundraisers just like you a custom solution to tackle your unique challenges, helping you achieve the growth and sustainability your organization needs, helping you help others. Visit donorbox.org to learn more. Wow, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm so honored that you would share it with me and our listeners. I think it's just such a powerful story, and it's something that has been brewing for a long time and then really has taken shape over the last few years. And I love that you just listened to that voice and just everything fell into place. And I think there's a lot of lessons in that. And through this process, the main message was like, there's a missing gap in philanthropy. There's a missing gap in social good. You were set on this journey to fill that gap of, and you've obviously done extensive research into the underlying issues in philanthropy. So can you share some of the hidden statistics that reveal the systemic challenges the sector faces?
Sure. One of the other points I wanted to share was what was interesting to me was just in that period of 2019 when people were telling me to do this, I had been reading the book, You Are the Universe by Deepak Chopra, Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, and The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, all at the same time. So it's definitely like divine science at that moment of, you're meant to pursue this, so here you go. And so to your point, I've surrendered to this for 5 years now. Everything happens because it happens. I really am blown away by it, but it's true. One of the things we noted was I started doing deep research immediately. And the great news is there's a lot out there to learn. We created a knowledge base recently that you can access through our website. It should be available probably in 2 weeks. That's all the research, 2,000 plus hours I've spent personally. And one of the things we kept seeing over and over, and it was both the global scale and also locally, nonprofits are not good at engaging broader audiences. They're definitely not good at social media and marketing, mostly because they don't have the resources of people, but it's not a thing they're struggling with, right? And then on top of that, there's a huge disconnect between the people over 45 participating and the people under 45 participating. On top of that, you have this generation that is under 45 that wants the world to change immediately, right? They all want change right now. They want the world to be better, infrastructure fixed, get rid of all these issues that have been plaguing us as humanity. They want it, right? This is what's going on. And then on top of that, nonprofits, we look at it and go, why does anything have to cost so much with the way technology is these days? Why can't we make it simple, straightforward, and inexpensive? And one of the things we modeled uniquely was that we said, look, if we're going to serve both sides and bring them together in this platform, we wanted to create a very friendly user experience for people that want to participate. And so everybody that is on that side will actually have a completely unique experience because philanthropy is to each person's own heart. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. So whether they pick environment or mental health or humanitarian or whatever it is, they're going to choose. And the funny thing I was shocked by that most people do not know is that on average, people active in philanthropy support 4 to 6 different orgs. It's not like one org. And then the other shocker was that the really differences in participation in terms of dollars with demographic. The richest, the baby boomers are giving the most. Our generation X is giving second most, and millennials second least. Gen Zs are really just getting started. There's really no strong data on how much they're participating dollar-wise, but it's low. So then I said, well, that means part of this dream was telling me is that it needs to be affordable. So why not look at it from a quarterly donation model that allows anybody to participate? Like you could be making $4,000 a year and participate because it's like $26 a year you're talking about. So we looked at it from that viewpoint. And then the crazier part about it was they had stated to me in the dream that it would be so powerful if you got to the same number of people as Facebook, you'd have something like 27 times more powerful than the largest private foundation. I had to do the research. So I found out it's Gates Foundation. I found out they're 52 billion years what they sit on, but they deploy maybe 2 billion. And then we did the numbers and it was like, we had the same number of people as Facebook. We'd be deploying something like 75 billion a year to the space, which is unheard of. Like it's crazy. So yeah, so then we started to determine how do we do this, and we started building the tech and doing a beta program right now with nonprofits and participants where we're getting the final iteration to put into the Apple and Google stores to have.
Yeah. And when I'm listening to you, something that I'm taking away is a lot of nonprofits think there's like a lack of resources but from what your perspective and research is, there is a lot of philanthropy available, and it's just about helping nonprofits be able to access that broader audience that can then fulfill their philanthropy through their mission.
Yeah. Basically, we have the 54% of the world population's under 45. So the mass now is turned. So there's more younger people in the world than older. More of them want to be active in social impact. Everybody we've asked at all 6 universities, that I just was at Harvard presenting a month ago, every student I talked to on that campus, which not all were Harvard, by the way, they all were like, yes, we want something like this. The world needs it. Like we're done with Facebook and all this stuff. It's so wild. And then the other part is that these nonprofits, they've been, I hate to say this, but with this movement in consulting and fundraising in the 2000 to 2010 era, that was like, hold on to every donor dearly, right? Like you have to own them. And so it became this battle of like them coming post 2008 financial crisis, thinking they can't lose donors. They can't afford to have anybody give money to someone else. It became this very deteriorating mindset of like large donors, number one, over reliance on them, and then trying to control your donors to give to you and not to others. And that's antithetical to what philanthropy is about. It should be find and connect to those that care about your cause and trust that if you're making impact, they're going to support you. And don't be so over-reliant on large donors, because if one leaves you, you're holding the bag. You've just made yourself so much weaker. So our whole theory is that if you were focused on what you're doing as impact, letting us help you tell your story, that will attract those naturally, right, organically. And then those who are attracted organically to you, they're going to spread the word because it's a social platform. So it basically enables that. They can use their own donors on it. We made it very easy. And one of the things we found to be the most telling part of making it viral was that we're literally giving both the nonprofits and the participants a shareable link that we will then trace for them like a tree. So if that org gave the link to let's say an organization is $500,000 a year, they have 600 donors, right? And let's say 10 are large donors. They gave that, said, hey, get on the BGiving app, share the link. Anything those people are doing, we can show the nonprofit. Hey, we have a fundraiser. They shared it to 1,000 more people in their network, right? Same thing for the participant. Say you got on, Haley, and said there's a mental health one you want to help with work. And you're like, oh my gosh, I love what these guys are doing. And you just shareable link to 10 of your friends. And let's say only 5 got on the app, for instance. So now we track all 5 of them and what they're doing back to you. Because if it wasn't for you sharing that link, and that in visualization and in numbers. And so we felt like when you do that for both sides, it tells a much deeper story about how anybody can lead to impact, and that their impact is far greater than they even expected.
Oh, yes. I love a good dashboard and data. It's always helpful to like
that
track.
Is so key. Insights and data are so key to this. Yes. And transparency.
Yes, I think that's so key. And you were talking and it totally makes sense. I'm a fundraiser, so I've been in these positions that you're relying on major donors. You're only paying attention to your major donors. Even if it's 10 people, you're not talking to the rest of the people, or there haven't been systems. I shouldn't say you're not. There haven't been systems in place to be able to steward people well. And when I was reading your website and about your bio and BGiving.one is this idea of micro donations. And like we were talking about before, like philanthropy can be accessible to everyone. So can you explain a little bit more about this concept of micro donations and how nonprofits can change their mindset into leading more into this idea?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, because this is one of the key elements of what we're doing. So imagine we look at it from the perspective of all the nonprofits we relate to. We have 66,000 at the community level just in the US. We haven't gone outside the US yet because we want to really focus this energy here for about a year before we go global. But we looked at it and said, okay, so they're in these top cities and We know exactly the orgs. We know their sizes. We see their 990 data. That's what we have. We see their socials. We see their websites if they have any. And so we're very clear on who they are and what they're doing. The problem is they don't realize that they could tap into, again, the largest part of their community is the people under 45. I hate to tell you, this is the facts. So we thought, well, if we make this participant app, the mobile app, so much easier for people to actually connect with the orgs in their own community. And believe it or not, there isn't really a platform that's doing what we're doing. It doesn't exist. But like, we wanted to say, hey, Haley, you're in Orange County. You can find these 30 orgs. And John, I'm in Austin. I can find these 40 orgs. So we simplified that. But the thing is, the power to the participant and for on the benefit of the nonprofit is the more people they engage through our platform, the more likely, because of our socialization of the platform, they're going to grow their base. And their base could be 5,000 instead of 500. And they really only need to give them $10 or $25 a year. And that makes a huge difference. So when we looked at the quarterly versus the monthly recurring, the data told us it was all easy data. 2016 to 2020, monthly recurring was on a huge leap because that was the push. And everybody realized that if you said $20 a month, you didn't need to have a tax deduction, all this stuff, right? And then COVID occurred. And donor fatigue hit in about December to January 21, December 20 to January 21, and it started creeping in. And by 21, monthly recurring has now slid back to lower than 2016 levels. And what was told to me in the dream was that it needs to be quarterly because that's what's more reliable for people to say, hey, look, I could give $5 a quarter, $10 a quarter. And again, we were trying to do it based on a weekly amount of 50 cents a week, which works $26 a year. That's the average, but we're saying, look, we can give these levels. So we have micro donation levels set. You can still pick your own contribution. And the other thing for us was we wanted to simplify the fundraising mechanism for the nonprofits as well. So in other words, like I used that example earlier, let's say they're using our app because we can help them grow more micro donors to their platform or to their cause. Well, the cool thing is if they did a fundraiser, imagine you have, let's say that same mental health org for you. So let's say they're having a fundraiser and they can only fit 200 people in the event. Well, they have 200 people in the event, but maybe they have 400 donors total. Imagine all those donors sharing the fundraising because our app allows that. They just upload one link. It's boom. They can announce their fundraiser, have it on the app, and it goes out. So if they had a URL to it, they could put that out, have all their donors share. People don't have to come to the event. They can participate in the fundraiser outside attending. And the crazier part about it is we actually have the technology that if they wanted to do a clip of like the highlights of the speech, right? There's always the speech at these events. But let's say you take the 2-minute clip of the most important thing they talk about. You could actually put that up through our app to have that go to the people you're asking to participate in fundraising. So they'll feel like they actually saw the power of what was being shared at the event without even being at the event and still participate. These are things we're looking at in terms of like, how do we shift this dynamic to let nonprofits know there's technology out there that can help you without you doing a lot of work. And will take a lot of time, which is really important because we know they're stressed. All these orgs have 2, 3, 4 people when they're all jack of all trades. So we're like, the more we can provide a platform that they could spend 15 minutes a month on to do all this stuff is amazing.
Yeah, so I think that's so important. And I was talking to someone the other day, and she is trying to implement like a CRM and some of these systems into her organization. She was handed Excel spreadsheets. There's been resistance to implementing technology.
Sure.
So what are some of the challenges that you have seen nonprofits face, and what are the solutions that you provide to just being like,
Sure.
Because we have, and I've had other people on the podcast, we have human-centered work, and whether it's donors or the nonprofit work that we're doing, and like technology can help you get back to that. It's not replacing what you do, but it's allowing you to build those relationships. So it's allowing you to serve your clients. So can you talk a little bit more about the challenges you face when you're like approaching nonprofits, and then like the solutions that you come to, and like you have to implement technology in the workplace?
Yeah. The best way I can describe the current existing marketplace in the sector is you have charitable giving platforms. You go and you can give money. And then you have SaaS products that are aimed at nonprofits. And that's the donor management, the CRM, the fundraising tools, all this stuff, right? Well, nobody has thought of it the way we've approached it, obviously, because this was given me as inspiration, but nobody's thought about like, why not just interact? put the two parties together on one platform seamlessly and make it so easy that it doesn't take a lot of time. They do not have to learn something new. Our onboarding for nonprofits, I kid you not, is 15 minutes. It's so crazy. So one of the things we looked at was, why can't we build a platform that a 14-year-old could use, meaning it's not highly technical. Anybody could basically go on there. So first of all, we populate all the data for them. So when you get on, if you are a nonprofit joining our platform, we already have your 990 data. All you're doing is confirming it, vetting it. The only thing we collect new is how many lives you impact on an annual basis. And you have to prove it, because that goes into one of the data sets for transparency to the donor side. So basically they can go in and anything they have, images or videos they've got on their website, they can upload. If they want to tell a story, we're actually going to have an AI tool that actually will help tell the story for them, so they don't have to spend so much time or money on media. They can actually just have this automated for them, which is powerful. So we're working on the beta right now. And then basically the key is, to your point earlier, insights. So every time they share something, so let's say they share the video and says, we're having a fundraiser coming up. We'd love to have you participate. We've accomplished X this year. 1-minute video they put out, right? We can show them how many of their donors shared it, how many people viewed it, how many people went to the link, how many people shared it to others. So all of a sudden they're getting insights instead of being blind. All of a sudden they see who's actually active versus who's not active. So imagine you're a nonprofit and you have 400 people in your network and your donor base, and you go send that video out and you know they're all on the platform, right? Because you've given them the shareable link and you're asking them to support you. Only 100 watched the video and only 50 shared it. Well, then you can send a text to them, a message. We're going to have direct messaging. So you could be like, hey, we sent this. If you didn't see it, can you please share it to your network? These are ways we're trying to make it easy for them, automating things. And then the other thing is volunteers. So we know, like, a lot of young people, they want to volunteer. They just don't know how or where. So that's another thing for nonprofits, is that if they are one of those orgs that can use or need volunteers on a regular basis, they can just, again, one click the URL. Hey, we need them from July 20th to July 21st, these hours, and then it just goes to the other side. And the other side is getting notifications, just like a phone. It gives you notifications. Here's a new video that was put out. Here's a fundraiser that's active. Here's a volunteer effort. So the other side's immediately getting notified. Again, nothing exists like this. But most importantly for the nonprofits is that they don't spend a lot of time. It's tools to be used when they need them. And when they need them, it's super easy and straightforward and not time consuming. And the other thing I want to share is that we only take 1% of donations that pass through our model. So we're not like charging them on their own donations. I think it's a better way for them to track their active donors, by the way, to be honest. And then at the same time, we are basically charging them a 1/100th of their revenue to onboard. So if you were a $500,000 a year org, to onboard with us is $500, and that's it. There's no more expenses after that. We just make what's done through the platform for you. The other important thing I'd like to share is that nobody's thinking about it this way either, but we created this entity to be a pass-through ourselves. So what we operate as whatever we earn. So after research development and iterations of technology, paying the investors and covering our, obviously, OpEx, anything above that goes into a reserve account and gets redeployed to the communities at the same percent that they're contributing. So I'll give you an example. So we were in 50 cities in the US, and let's say Atlanta had 1 million pass through us, and LA had 2 million pass through us, and New York had 3 million pass through us. We would look at it and say, okay, here's the total reserve. Let's just say it's 10 million as an easy number. 10 million is easily discernible. So we'd say, New York, you were X percent, you get X dollars back. Atlanta, you were X percent, you get X dollars back. At LA, you were X percent, you get X dollars back. And we would work with them on initiatives, again, and impact. So it could be LA says, we need a homeless shelter. Atlanta says, we need to support mental health in high schools. And New York could say, we need like food. Food banks need money. So that's the way we're looking at it. It's like a very holistic. So we're here only to cover the expense of operating the platform for the good of humanity, not to be like paying. First of all, we'd love to work with just crowdfunding instead of investors, because investors just seem to be only about profit and not about impact these days. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, and I love that. And something you were saying about videos, like videos are so powerful. And I have my cell phone right here. Obviously, we're not on videos, so you can't see it, but or you're listening to this on your cell phone, like literally just flip it around, flip the camera around and tell an impact story. Maybe you were coming from a meeting And obviously through an ethical storytelling lens, like it can be that easy. And I also think the more authentic and raw and unpolished a video is, like there's a time and place for polished videos, right? Like at a gala, you don't want to show a cell phone video unless it's like, it's part of the context. But like videos don't have to be this high production thing, right? It can be
That's right.
easily on your cell phone.
No, totally. The most shocking thing for me in this context, Haley, was that when we looked at the study, it was like 3 years and it was averaging 48% conversion on video to donate. Short form. So 30-second, 1 minute video. The other thing we just realized recently, we had done a more research. And if you convert the high level content of that to a text and are able to share it, again, through our platform, that will be a technology we will develop because we're building this right now, literally. But it was very interesting. So there's a conversion of 48% for video. Guess what it is for text, highlighted text. So let's say you get the text and it's one paragraph. You can read it in about a minute or less. That converts between 180 and 520%.
Wow.
So these are the things that we want to bring to the table to help nonprofits, because they don't need to be focused on building technology. They need to be focused on their impact and letting companies like us serve them with the greatest tools and capabilities, right? That's really what it's about.
So what are some of like other marketing tools that you have found to be beneficial to reach those broader audiences with low to minimal cost?
Yeah. So one of the things, we did a couple of tests with the app early on in version 1, and then we also did surveys. And one of the things we kept hearing was, oh my God, you've made it so simple. Like there's no hindrance to participate. It's so easy. And you've made it so easy for me to find orgs, right? Because that really doesn't exist either. And the other thing was people loved the transparency aspect. So if we can show them lives impacted or show them their impact and track things like, hey, all my friends got on and they're helping these orgs and they're giving this much money. All these things became very telling because people like to know that if I participate, I want to know I'm making impact. And so by being transparent, that connects to people's hearts deeply and knowing that, wow, I actually did make a difference. And look, you could have an org that you help and it's 5 people. You could have an org and you help 100 people. Sometimes it's not the number that matters. It's just you're seeing this impact stat and you're like, wow. And one of the things we had noticed early on, we had a set of UT Macomb students in the entrepreneur school test the app cold, like just went in and just got people to use the app literally in demo mode. And the shocker to us was 95% of people not active in philanthropy were like, I would do something in philanthropy if this app was available. That was really telling for us because that's the untapped market, right? That's all those people that aren't involved right now or engaged, and seeing an app like ours might convert. And we're talking hundreds of millions of people in the world. That's a huge difference.
Hey there, podcast family. If you're like me and deeply committed to improving your leadership skills and fostering better connections with your team, I've got something truly amazing to share with you. I'm proud to introduce the EMC Masterclass, something I talk about often as a certified trainer. It's an incredible program developed by the renowned Dr. Lola Gershfeld, an organizational psychologist and corporate emotional connection expert. You might remember her from a podcast episode where she shared invaluable insights into the world of emotional connection. Dr. Gershfeld's EMC Leaders courses are designed for anyone working with people, whether you're a manager, supervisor, team leader, educator, coach, mentor, or a team member. This program is truly for everyone looking to enhance their communication and collaboration skills to raise more revenue for their mission. Now, let me tell you why the EMC Masterclass is a game changer. Dr. Gershfeld's groundbreaking emotional connection process has been integrated into top universities' curriculum and recognized by international organizations like ICF, HRCI, and SHRM. Humans are wired to seek emotional safety, and when we feel safe, we're more likely to take risks, share innovative ideas, and collaborate effectively. The EMC process is the catalyst for creating that emotional safety within your team. The virtual EMC Masterclass consists of 8 modules with 4 hours of expertly recorded material, 13 quizzes to reinforce your learning, and a workbook filled with activities for offline practice and something I still refer to daily. Ready to become an emotional connection master? Dr. Gershfield is offering an exclusive detail for our podcast listeners. Use the code LEADWITHHEART to enjoy a generous 10% discount on the EMC Masterclass. Head over to emcleaders.com and enroll in the EMC Masterclass today. Yeah, and as you're talking about like college students and like the new wave of philanthropy, the next wave of generosity in the world, like so many nonprofits come to me and ask me like, how do we engage this younger generation? How do we get them to give? What are the demographics like? What's some practical strategies that you could give to nonprofits to start engaging with that younger generation?
Well, definitely they should use our app. And because I think it's going to be powerful. We're working with a media firm right now. We're discussing agreement with them having us in front of 1.5 million people in the first 2 months of the app being in the Apple Google store this fall. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is, to your point, they want transparency, number one. You have to be straightforward. If you had a tough year fundraising, be honest. If you had a tough time reaching your goals because you're not funded well enough, be honest. Like these are the key moments where people want authentic and, to your point, real conversations. That doesn't mean they're not going to support you. If anything, they're going to be like, wow, maybe they do need more help than they're capable of right now. And the other part of it is storytelling is so important, right? They have to be able to tell stories. I don't think many people are good at that. We're trying to automate that for them, which is powerful. But the other thing I would say is young people they're more likely to do something on a mobile app than not. And one of the things that we're keen on making this shift for nonprofits is you don't have to try to be an app for young people. Our app's going to provide that as a basis of just like why you get on Instagram and Facebook, they're going to be on the app to do the good in the community, and your org's part of that. And I have to laugh because we look at Facebook in the last 10 years and they're 20 years old right now. They formed in 2004 as a dating thing on Harvard. But it's sad that it's caused so much dilemma in the world. They claim there's something like between attempted or deaths directly related to Facebook is like 1 million people. And their revenue is $252 billion last year. And we think all these nonprofits have to have a Facebook page and an Instagram account. And we're like, why? If that's the platform doing so much destruction to our communities, why do we need to rely on those networks to do this good? So we want to replace that and say, look, you get active on our app, we're going to bring the people to you. And the people that want to be on our app, they're going to be the ones that want to support you. Because in essence, there's nothing like it right now. And more people would rather be doing good in the world. The other kicker, which is a complete sidebar, but very important, we actually looked at all the neuroscience that's been produced about generosity and giving. And the crazier part about it is most social apps do not make people feel good. You might go there for a laugh. You might go there for some healing or spiritual or whatever, friends vacation. But in general, it's not healthy in terms of mental health, physical health to be on these apps. And it's the exact opposite for our app. The neuroscience proves that like when you're generous, when you're in the state of giving and acting in the benefit of others, your heart, your brain go into coherence. There's hormones released that are healthy for you. Like all these shifts happen that are positive. And that's just the natural outcome of being on an app like ours. So if you think about it and go, well, man, if I could be on an app like that once a week or once a month and actually have a benefit because I just want to do good in the world, that's a huge shift for the planet. And that's the way we look at it, is that we want to be both a simple platform people can utilize to do good in the world the way they want, and at the same time, actually have a benefit to themselves physically, mentally.
Yeah, there's so many benefits to generosity and giving back. And I want to double tap on a few things that you said. Transparency is so key. And like you said, I always tell nonprofits it's an opportunity to have a conversation. Like,
that's right.
The nonprofits that I was working for in 2020 was like, well, we didn't hit our goals. Now we're not going to do our report because we don't want to look bad. But it was like, well, get curious about why you didn't meet your outcomes, why you didn't meet your budget goal. And then that's an opportunity for a conversation to say, hey, this is what we need, X, Y, and Z, to be able to either pivot or like actually meet our goals.
Totally.
Or like, these are the challenges we faced in programming it this way. We listened to the community. They actually need X and we need your help implementing X. So I think that transparency piece is so important. And then being able to craft that story.
Yeah, so important. Absolutely, Haley. I also think that's a poor board to look at things that way as a governance body, because most boards at nonprofits need to know they can't hide the bad. And here's the other good news about this. Failure is the best way to success. So success doesn't happen naturally. It usually happens through iterations of failure after failure or learning lessons. So if we shift this mindset and change nonprofits to think, just because you didn't achieve something doesn't make you lacking or less of a worthy cause or organization. If anything, it taught you something, and it teaches the lessons that you can then take forward to move in a better direction and have more success the next time. So to me, absolutely, boards should never be hiding this stuff and not giving impact reports, even if they are missing their goals, number one, because that's the reality. And maybe that will then awaken people to, hey, how can we help you reach your goals? Right? That's number one. Because we all know this, but like the natural tendency for humans is to what? Fight for the underdog. So this is the way people naturally act in human behavior. So that's another positive for us, is that if we're transparent on this platform, that should really be more engaging for both sides, because nonprofits know they can be authentic and share, hey, we can't do this service because we're short funds this quarter. That's what should be getting told. So we activate the other side, and the other side wants to know real. Like, if I found out a great org had a bad year because whatever, maybe their executive director left, and then that, like, the fundraiser person left too, like whatever that means, it's okay. How can we get you back to whole? How can we help you get to this next achievement or goal or whatever you want to call it? And so, yeah, I think we have to, and I think the world's waking up to this, but it's like we have to live in a more authentic and full of integrity space where it's okay to fail. And we have to accept that as that's part of the learning lesson. That's how we get to the stronger positions. That's how we get to our bigger goals. And if you don't dream big and try to go for those things, then you're missing what the whole goal of what the mission is. So it's to reach that goal you want to reach and attract as many people to that cause as possible. It takes an effort, being honest and being full of integrity.
Definitely. So John, if people want to, they're like, yes, I want to bridge the gap between like philanthropy and our nonprofit and be able to have this all-in-one platform, where can they find more about the work that you do?
Sure. So we have a link set up for the podcast audience. That's begiving.one/lead with heart. So it's your podcast name, makes it easy for them. They can learn about us. They can visit our knowledge base. The app is going through the beta right now, so they can join the beta. We're going to run a crowdfunding platform probably in August starting. And then we should be able to have the app physically launched into Google and the Apple stores in late August for September release. So they can also join a wait list, probably will be the best way. It is active right now. It's just that it's not the version we want to go through the Apple and Google stores. We're really just tweaking right now. We want some feedback. We'd love to have people join. And both, we're taking feedback from nonprofits, because that's a different element of that platform, as well as participants who would want to support nonprofits. So yeah, that's the best way. They can visit that webpage and find out how they can best support us and join us and participate.
Well, thank you so much. We'll be sure to link that in the show notes. I really appreciated this conversation, John, and learning more about the work that you do and how it came to fruition.
Thank you so much, Haley. It's great being here. And thanks for asking such great, pertinent questions.
If you have valued these stories or learned something from what you've heard, please share this podcast episode or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your support, and together we can build a better community and world.